Welcome back, students. Uh, Welcome back to the next lecture in your software process and project management. Till last class, we have discussed about your software maturity framework and what are the different framework models we have. In this particular lecture, we will try to understand one basic software process model, that is your conventional software project management. So this is a list of all the topics what we are going to cover under your unit 2, right? So first we'll try to understand what is your conventional software management, right? So conventional software management is nothing but the traditional software management process that is followed in your industry. The most often used traditional model in your industry is the waterfall model. So this particular waterfall model is purely based on a baseline. That is, it is going to design it is going to design your conventional process here. So here, this particular model is going to be executed in two ways. One is it in the form of your theory, and second is in the form of your practice. So in theory, Winston Royce in the year 1970, he has presented a paper. So this paper is related to how to manage your development of large-scale industry software processes, and this was presented at IEEE WestCon. So here in this particular paper, he has made 3 different points. These are the primary points that are taken into consideration while developing your software process in the industry. So first is, there are basically 2 different steps that are essential in order to start with your development of your computer programs. So first part is your design and second is your analysis. So design part goes with the 3 major points made by Wilson is first, there are 2 common steps in development of any computer programs. First is analysis and second is coding. So analysis is a part where the programmer is going to analyze all the requirements related to the process development, and this is the essential part in both creative work, and it is also going to involve directly, it is going to take the contribution of the useful and unnecessary information related to the end product. And when you go with your coding, coding is a part where which starts after your analysis is done, and this is related to the development of your project. The second part is in order to manage and control all the activities related to your software model, 3 more steps are taken into consideration. So those steps are listed here. First is you are supposed to define your system requirements. So system requirements definition, next you are supposed to define your software requirements, and then you are supposed to design and test your project. So system requirements definition, what do I mean by this? So whenever you are going to define any particular process, the programmer is supposed to understand on which particular system he is supposed to deploy his project. So these requirements are taken into your system requirements, and when you go with your software requirements, which different what are the end softwares that are supposed to be used in your or on which particular software your project is supposed to be executed or installed, they are fall under your software requirements. So after taking this, after defining these 2 requirements, then you can start with your designing and testing part of your program. So these steps are necessary in gathering all your requirements are necessary when you go with this before you start coding your program. So this is a basic life cycle model which can be represented by using your waterfall, where your system requirements starts first, then your software requirements enters. After all your system requirements are gathered successfully, then your software requirements are taken into consideration. After your software requirements, you are going to analyze what all are necessary after gathering all your requirements. Now it is the responsibility of the programmer to sit along with the customer and finalize what are the basic requirements that are taken into your project and what are unnecessary in your project, and analyze all your requirements. After analyzing, you end up with certain set of requirements which are necessary. So these requirements are taken into consideration in order to start with your program design. So after designing your after your architecture of your program, or after identifying the total number of modules in your program, the programmer can start coding that particular design or your respective classes, interfaces, or your modules. Then he can start working with testing, and followed by the different operations can be implemented. At any point, conventional waterfall model will not allow you to enter into its previous state. right? So this is the conventional step-by-step process from top to bottom approach, right? These are the different steps available. So next, when you go with your the third point made by Mr. Wilson in his paper is, as the testing phase is at the end of your development process, here if you see this in your waterfall model, your testing phase is coming at the end of your process. So this may result in making your software process risky. So this also like risky in the case as you're testing only your project at the end of your complete design. What happens is if there are many chances to come across different number of failures. So this is the problem with your basic waterfall model. So in order to overcome this, we need to do the requirements you need to make your requirements, you need to modify your requirements and create your substantial design in which helps the programmer to come out with your errors. In order to make changes to your design model, there are 5 certain improvements that are supposed to be made in your model. So first is, you are supposed to complete the complete design and analysis beforehand. Before your code begins, you are supposed to make your complete program analysis. So here, by this particular technique, the programmer or the program designer is going to ensure that the software is not going to fail because the storage, because of any particular storage or timing or any data fluctuations that begin in your process. So first, in order to improve your waterfall model, you are supposed to define all your requirements and analyze them before your code begins. Second is, you are supposed to maintain current and complete documentation. So here documentation plays a major role. Once all your analysis is done, once you come up with all your requirements, all your analysis is done, a lot of documentation is supposed to be put into picture. So this is going to help in order to support the latter modifications. Like in the first end, certain set of requirements are generated. After executing your program, your customer has come up with certain modifications in your project. So this documentation will help you in modifying your process at any particular time. So that is the second step in your design. Third step is do it twice. So third improvement you can make in your software processes, you can do the job twice if it is possible. So what is this going to do is, in your first attempt or in your first instance, you have made certain set of operations. So these set of operations might end up with negative results or not full results are generated. So in this case, you can go with the next version of your software or next version of your programs. This will enhance, like all your operations related to the customer requirements will be added into your program if you do the approach for the next iteration. This can be done any number of times. So that is why we are saying it as n number of times. So this doing it for multiple number of times in latest generation, we call it as your iterative development. And fourth modifications you can do is plan, control and monitor your testing. So the biggest resource is your test phase in your project development. So here, whenever you are developing your project, the greatest risk you come across is related to the cost and schedule of the particular project. So if you are unable to complete your project properly, then you will land up with errors. So you here indicate the programmer will land up with certain problems. So problems like if you are missing your schedule, the cost vested on your project would be increased. So in order to carry out your proper testing, you are supposed to follow certain set of operation settings. First, you are supposed to deploy or employ only the specialist onto this particular program who are already aware of your original design, and they can work with your program. So here these testers are not responsible to your design, but they are only specialists in testing your project. Second, you are supposed to employ your visual inspections. So these visual inspections are necessary in order to identify what are the missing areas in your project and overcome those missing areas. This also helps in jumping from one address to another address. Like your product may end up with negative results, or it may shift from one result to another result. All these can be overcome by using these visual instructions. Next, you are supposed to test every logic phase. So this can be something like you may perform your unit testing at every particular logic and check if it is performing as per the given logic or not. And next phase, you employ a final checkpoint. So this checkpoint is employed on your target machine or your target computer, where you are going to deploy your program or install your program. So this is to ensure that your program is perfectly working on your target machine. Right. So, and in the last improvement you can make is you are supposed to involve your customer. So involving your customer is to make sure that the customer is committed to whatever the requirements that are provided by him or her, and all the functionalities are implemented as per the requirements of the customer. So this commitment can be taken into consideration only if you can involve your customer into your process development. So primarily your software is reviewed. So as per this commitment is considered, your customer is going to review your process at the primary phase. That is, at your requirements phase, he is going to primarily review your requirements. After that, at your software is critically your software is tested by the customer once it is deployed on his system. So this is during the design of your program. So testing indicates one functionality is implemented by the programmer and it is shown to the customer. If the customer is fully satisfied or not, this particular commitment can be taken only if his decision is taken during the design time. And final, software acceptance. So after each and every phase of testing is done successfully, final software acceptance can be reviewed by testing your process completely. So this is all about the different phases that are listed in your paper defined by Mr. Royce. So that's all for this lecture. We'll continue in your next lecture.